After driving 4 hours to help my sister-in-law move, I got told I'd be sleeping outside on the porch. Apparently, the guest room was only for family. Over breakfast, my wife looked at me and said, "Well, maybe you could have just booked a hotel if you had a job worth bragging about." I didn't say a word, just ate my cold eggs and kept quiet. A few days later, I sent a group message that caused her sister to start yelling and made her dad lose his temper. So here I am, a 37-year-old guy out of Knoxville, Tennessee. I've been a full-time mechanic since I was 18. I get greasy, I break a sweat, but I earn my paycheck fair and square. I fix cars for a living, and I don't cheat anybody. I come home exhausted, but I know I did something real with my day. It's not flashy, and no, I don't pull in six figures, but I never thought you needed to make that kind of money to be treated with basic respect. I've always believed that how you treat people says more about you than what your tax return does. My wife Amanda, she's 35 and comes from a whole different background. Her dad owns multiple car dealerships, and her mom used to be a school principal before retiring early. Her sister Brittany? She just landed a promotion and bought herself a new townhouse up in Chattanooga. The whole bunch talks like they're better than everyone else. You know the type, super polite when they're out in public, but always talking down to you with that passive-aggressive tone. When Amanda and I first got together, the whole social class thing didn't seem like a big deal to me. I just thought, okay, they're a little fancy, no biggie. We're in love, that's what matters. At the beginning, her family tolerated me. Then the jokes started, little ones at first. Like mentioning how I smelled like motor oil when I'd show up straight from the garage, or tossing out questions like, "Ever think of going back to school?" That kind of stuff. It was never meant to help, it was always a jab. Still, I let it slide. I figured if I stuck around long enough, they'd come to accept me. So when Brittany asked if we could help her move into that new place of hers, I didn't think twice. Of course, she went to Amanda first, and Amanda volunteered me before I even heard a word about it. She needs help lifting stuff, she said, like we were just swinging by for an hour or two. I had to juggle my whole work schedule around. Asked my boss for Friday off, and even though we were short that week, he gave it to me. I packed up everything we might need. Dolly, straps, gloves, tools, tape, you name it. Amanda had already left the day before for some conference in Greensboro, so I made the trip solo that Friday afternoon. It's about 4 hours, give or take. I rolled in around 6 p.m. The place looked like your average modern townhouse, 3 stories, white siding, tiny patch of grass out front. I parked, grabbed my bag, walked inside, and instantly felt out of place. Brittany was sitting on the floor with a glass of wine, surrounded by half-open boxes. She glanced up and said, "Oh, hey," like I was a package that had been left on her doorstep. I asked her where I should put my bag. She paused and went, "You didn't bring a sleeping bag or anything?" I told her no. I figured I'd be crashing in the guest room. She stood up and said, "Oh, right. Well, the guest room's for family." I stared at her. "I mean, I'm married to your sister." She didn't even blink. "Yeah, I know. But Amanda is already in there. I didn't think you'd be staying overnight." I looked around, trying to wrap my head around this. "So, where am I supposed to sleep?" She smiled like she'd solved the puzzle. "The back porch has a couch. It's got cushions. It's actually kind of cozy." And she was completely serious. I didn't say anything. Just walked through the house, out to the porch, and saw the couch. It was a wicker thing with 2 cushions, no blanket, no cover, and it was already getting chilly. I stood there for a while, not sure what to do. Then I walked back to the front, grabbed my bag, and dropped it on the porch. I didn't want to start a fight. I figured Amanda would set things straight once she knew. Spoiler, she already knew. She came out a little later, wine glass in one hand, phone in the other. "Oh hey, Brittany told you where you're sleeping, right?" "Yeah," I said. She didn't even pretend to feel bad. Just said, "We'll make it up to you in the morning, okay?" and headed back inside. So there I was, stuck outside with nothing but a hoodie. It dropped to 50 degrees that night. I hardly slept at all. That damn cushion was damp, too. I woke up shivering, my back aching, teeth chattering. The next morning, I stepped inside, stiff and cold. The smell of eggs and fresh coffee hit me right away. Brittany and Amanda were already at the table, dressed in clean clothes and laughing about something. Amanda looked up and said, "Morning. There's some eggs on the counter." I walked over and saw a plate of eggs, stone cold. The toast was soft and soggy. I sat down and ate without saying a word. That's when she dropped it. "Still laughing?" she said. You You could have just gotten a hotel. If your job was worth talking about. Brittany chuckled into her mug. I kept eating, didn't look at either of them. Cold eggs. Cold toast. Cold mood. Yeah, I was angry, but I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction of a scene. We spent the whole day moving her stuff. I carried every box, hauled shelves up and down 3 stories, sweating through my hoodie. No one thanked me. No water offered. Barely even acknowledged I was there. Sunday night, I climbed into my truck and drove home. Amanda rode with me. She stared at her phone the whole ride, not saying a word about how the weekend had gone. I dropped her off at the house, then just kept driving. I couldn't look at her. I didn't want to sleep beside her, either. When I finally came back, I crashed on the couch in the living room. She never asked why. She already knew. And honestly, she didn't care. I went to work Monday like usual, but I was still stewing over what she said at breakfast. That line, "If you had a job worth mentioning," just kept looping in my head. I tried to shake it off and focus on work, but it stuck with me. By Tuesday, I wasn't saying much to Amanda at all. By Wednesday, I had started writing something. By Thursday night, it was ready. I sent out a group message. And I didn't just send it to Amanda and Brittany. I sent it to everyone who had been at that house. Amanda's parents, her aunt and uncle, even Brittany's boyfriend. Anyone who made me feel like I didn't belong. This is what I wrote. Just wanted to thank you all for reminding me where I stand last weekend. After driving 4 hours, sleeping on a porch like some stray mutt, and being told I should have gotten a hotel if I had a real job. Well, now I understand. You all see me as expendable. That's fine. But don't expect me to show up, fix anything, or lift a finger for any of you ever again. Amanda, my lawyer, will be in touch. I meant every word I typed. I didn't stick around for the replies, but they started rolling in anyway. Brittany was first. What the hell? You're overreacting. Then, you could have said something. And then came, Amanda, what did you do? The next day, I heard shouting. Amanda was in the kitchen on the phone. I was out in the garage, but the walls are thin. Didn't take much to hear what was going on. Brittany was yelling at her so loud I caught every word. You let him sleep outside? Are you out of your mind? Then Amanda's dad called me. Usually the guy barely says 2 words to me, always stiff and cold. But this time, he sounded different. He said, I don't know what happened out there, but I raised my daughters to be strong, not cruel. If what I'm hearing is true, I'm embarrassed. You didn't deserve that. Then he hung up before I could respond. That night, Amanda came to talk. She sat down, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. You didn't have to text everyone, she said. I didn't reply. She tried again. I didn't think it was that big a deal. It was just one night. I looked her square in the eye. No, I said. It was years of disrespect. That night just made it crystal clear. She didn't say a thing after that. But I wasn't finished. Because that message? That was just the first shot. The real payback was still coming. After I sent that group text, everything started to unravel fast. Amanda tried to act like everything was fine at home. She'd hum while brushing her hair, ask if I needed anything from the store, even cooked dinner once, for the first time in months. But I didn't say a word. I wasn't falling for the act. I didn't care about her little gestures. What I cared about was what came next. I'd been putting up with little jabs for years. The way she called my job blue collar, like it was something to be ashamed of. How she'd visibly tense up whenever I showed up to family gatherings in my work boots. She even stopped saying my name, just introduced me as my husband, like I was some random guy tagging along. But now I saw everything for what it really was. So I started making moves. First thing I did was open a separate bank account and started sliding half my paycheck into it every week. Then I talked to a buddy at work who'd just gone through a divorce. He gave me his lawyer's contact. I made an appointment. That was Friday. Come Saturday morning, I was out in the driveway under the truck swapping out brake pads when Amanda came storming out, phone in hand. What did you text my dad? I kept wrenching. Exactly what needed to be said. She stood there with her arms crossed. He told me I owe you an apology, that I need to think about who I've become. Do you have any idea how humiliating that is? I didn't even glance at her. Good. She scoffed and stomped back inside. Later that afternoon, her mom called. I let it go to voicemail. When I played it back, she said, I hope you realize how much stress you're putting on this family. I listened to it twice, then saved it. That night, Amanda walked into the bedroom carrying a folder. Sat down on the edge of the bed and said, I know things have been tense, but I think we can work through it. I just stared at her. Work through what? Your attitude? Your sister's inflated ego? Or the fact that you laughed while I froze my ass off on a porch? She looked away. I didn't let that happen. I cut her off. You were standing right there. You saw me on that couch. And you left me there. She went quiet for a minute. Then she mumbled, maybe we should try couples counseling. I almost laughed in her face. Way too late for that. But here's what she didn't know. She wasn't the only one feeling the fallout from that weekend. Her dad? He had forwarded my message to a few other family members, including her cousin Eric, the one who manages one of their dealerships. Eric and I always got along. Every Christmas we'd end up talking trucks and tools. He called me that Sunday morning and said, look, I don't want to be caught in the middle of this mess, but what happened at Brittany's? That was complete crap. You're welcome to come by anytime. I'll even buy you lunch. I told him thanks, but then he said something that stopped me cold. Funny thing, though. Brittany's boyfriend, Jason? He mentioned that he offered you the guest room. Said Amanda told him you'd be fine out on the porch. I blinked. What? Yeah, he said. Jason told me he tried to give it to you, but Amanda pulled him aside and said you'd manage outside. My stomach sank. So it wasn't just Brittany brushing me off. Amanda had a hand in it. She didn't just let it happen, she arranged it. She wanted me humiliated. Why? I didn't know yet. But now I had to. So I reached out to Jason. Sent him a quick text. Hey, can we talk? Something you said got back to me. Just want to hear it straight. He replied, sure. Call me. I stepped outside and gave him a ring. He sounded uneasy, but he told the truth. Yeah, man. I offered to take the couch. Told Brittany you could have the guest room. She was cool with it. But Amanda pulled me aside and said it was fine. That you'd be okay out there. I figured you were in on it. I told him thanks and hung up. Then I just sat there. On the same porch where I'd frozen the weekend before. Now I had the last piece. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't some miscommunication. It was on purpose. She did it intentionally. I walked back inside, calm as could be. Amanda was on the couch scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. I sat down across from her. You told Jason not to let me use the guest room. She glanced up, confused at first, then her expression shifted. I didn't think it was a big deal. I nodded slowly. So you admit it. She tried to wiggle out of it. I just didn't want to make things awkward. It's Brittany's house, after all. No, I said. This isn't about Brittany. You wanted me out there. She went silent. Then finally she said it. I was embarrassed, okay? I leaned in. Embarrassed of what? Of you. She said it, plain as day. Of the way you looked. You showed up in jeans stained with oil, she said. Smelled like transmission fluid. Brittany's neighbors were around, and apparently that was too much for her. Not a good look, she added. And there it was, ugly, bare, and honest. She wasn't ashamed of something I did. She was ashamed of me. You married a mechanic, I told her. She shrugged. People change. I stood up. I didn't. You did. She let out this bitter little laugh. Yeah. I grew up. I didn't argue. Just turned and walked out into the garage, my space. That night, I started printing out all our shared financial records. Logged into our joint accounts and documented every single thing. I wasn't planning to stoop low, but I wasn't going to walk away with nothing, either. Then I sent a second group message, this time to just 5 people. Brittany, Jason, Amanda's parents, and Amanda herself. Here's what I wrote. Turns out the porch wasn't some oversight. Amanda told Jason not to offer me the guest room because she was embarrassed of me. Just thought you should all know. I'm done being part of this little family performance. Don't reach out unless it's through a lawyer. Amanda saw it and went ballistic. She read it, stood up like she'd been stung, and just started screaming. You're humiliating me. Why would you send that to my family again? I was leaning against the kitchen counter when she stormed over, phone in one hand, the other clenched. Her face was red, embarrassment, rage, who knows, but I felt nothing. Just cold, clear calm. I met her eyes. Because you earned it. You're trying to destroy me, she shouted. I didn't say a word. Just watched her. Then her voice cracked. I gave up so much to be with you. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Like what? Living in a house you don't even own? Faking it through holidays with people like me? Sleeping next to someone you can't even bring yourself to respect? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I walked past her, went into the bedroom, and grabbed the duffel bag I'd packed 2 nights earlier. Just essentials, clothes, paperwork, a toothbrush. I'd already booked a short-term rental across town. I wasn't going to play house anymore. As I picked up the bag, Amanda followed me. You're just leaving? I already did, I said. You just didn't notice. That was the last thing I said to her in that house. The next few days were quiet, at least for a bit. Then Brittany texted, some weak apology, claiming she didn't know the full story. I didn't answer. Jason messaged me next, slid into my DMs and said, for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. None of them treat you right. That one stuck with me. It was the first time I felt like someone had actually seen what I'd been dealing with. Then Monday morning rolled around, and I got a call from Amanda's dad. I need to talk to you, in person. We met at a diner. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in a booth with coffee waiting. He'd ordered mine without asking. He looked older, worn out. First thing he said, I owe you an apology. He went on, I always knew Amanda could be cold, but I didn't know it had gotten this bad. I kept quiet. Let him talk. He sighed. You've worked hard. I see that now, and I see how little anyone's appreciated it. Still, I didn't say much. Then he hit me with something unexpected. You're not the only one Amanda has turned her back on. She'd gotten a job offer in Chicago. She'd been planning to leave me. She told her mom and Brittany last month. My stomach turned. She what? He nodded. Yeah. She was going to move without telling you. Said she'd let you know once everything was set. She said she was tired of living small. I stared at him. And you were all okay with that? He shook his head. I didn't know. I only found out because her mother slipped up at dinner last week. She thought you already knew. So that Porch wasn't just an act of cruelty. It was the beginning of the exit plan. She was already halfway out the door. That's why she never gave a damn how I felt. Because in her mind, she wouldn't have to deal with me much longer. But at that point, I wasn't just angry anymore. I was done. That same afternoon, I met with the lawyer again. I brought along the voicemail Amanda's mom left and the screenshots of Jason confirming what Amanda had done. I also gave him a rundown of our finances. The mortgage was in my name, and I'd poured years of sweat and money into that house. He looked over everything and just nodded. We're going to be fine, he said. Then he asked, you want this quiet or loud? I didn't even hesitate. Loud. That night, I made a move Amanda never saw coming. I called our realtor. That house. It had real equity in it. And since it was under my name and I'd paid for most of it, I had the right. I asked what we needed to do to start listing it. She said we'd need to do a walkthrough. I told her, how's Thursday? I knew Amanda would be at her friend's birthday party that night, out snapping selfies and pretending her life was perfect. So while she was off playing the part, I let the realtor in, took the photos, signed the paperwork, and kicked off the sale. The house was going on the market, and I wasn't asking for her permission. Friday morning, she came home to a big for sale sign in the front yard. She walked in barefoot, heels in hand, makeup smeared like she'd either been crying or drinking, or both. What the hell is this? She asked. I handed her a manila envelope. Divorce papers, along with a formal notice about the sale of the property. She flipped through the pages, eyes wide. We're selling the house. No, I said. I am. You never paid a dime into it. You just used it like a stage set. She started yelling, again. I stayed calm. Go ahead, I said. Move to Chicago. Take your performance up there. We're finished. What she didn't realize yet was I still had one last move. I wasn't just walking away. I was taking the one thing she valued most, her image. Because I had everything. Screenshots, voicemails, people who could back it up. And I wasn't scared to let the truth come out. After the divorce papers were served and the for sale sign went up, she tried every trick in the book to save face. First came the tears. She cried to her mom, told her I was abandoning her, said I'd blown everything out of proportion, said I never supported her goals. Her mom believed it, for a minute. Then I sent her a little care package. It included screenshots of texts from Amanda, bragging that she couldn't wait to get out of this dusty mechanic town. Voicemail clips from Jason and her dad, spelling out what really happened at Brittany's. A full financial breakdown showing 95% of the mortgage had been paid by me. And a printed copy of her job offer in Chicago, the one she accidentally left in our printer weeks earlier. A few hours later, her mom called me. She didn't say sorry. She's too proud for that. But she did say, I understand now. That was enough. Then Brittany tried to do some cleanup of her own. She started telling her neighbors it was all a big misunderstanding. Said I was just being overly sensitive. Claimed I took things out of context. She even went as far as saying I snapped and made up stories because I was having financial problems. But that lie didn't last long. What Brittany forgot was her own boyfriend had already sent me a message, written proof, backing up exactly what happened. When he found out what she was saying, he was furious. He emailed me a full statement. I didn't even ask him to. In it, he said he personally offered me the guest room, but Amanda declined for me, said I'd be fine outside. He added, I regret not speaking up more, but I can confirm that's what happened. I took that statement and forwarded it straight to her company's HR department. And I didn't hold back. I attached the screenshots of her mocking my job, her laughing about me sleeping out on the porch, her telling people I was unstable. Turns out her company had a strict conduct policy even outside the office. They launched a quiet internal investigation. She didn't get fired, but they pulled her out of her management role and reassigned her. Jason broke up with her a week later, said he was embarrassed to even be connected to all of it. Once Amanda figured out I wasn't bluffing, she suddenly wanted to play nice. Out of nowhere, she was all about having a mature conversation. She asked if we could meet at a coffee shop. I said sure, but I came ready. She sat across from me, all dressed up with that fake polite smile. She opened with, I think we both made mistakes. I cut her off right there. No, I said. You made choices. I just reacted to them. Then I laid everything out. First, I slid a copy of the signed realtor contract across the table, proof the house was already in the process of being sold. Then I showed her the new bank account I'd been quietly transferring my paychecks into. Next, the lease to my new apartment, signed, paid, and mine alone. No co-signers, no shared bills. Finally, I handed her an envelope. Inside? My final offer. She could take whatever was left in our joint account, about $4,000, and walk. Or, if she preferred, we could go the court route and bleed each other dry. She took the deal. A month later, the house sold. The equity gave me enough to buy a used Ford F-150, upgrade my garage, and wipe out some old debts I'd been carrying. Amanda? She still went to Chicago, just like she planned. But she didn't go there with a clean slate. Her old employer wouldn't give her a letter of recommendation. And from what I heard, the company she was supposed to join had downsized before she even got there. She ended up stuck in some small apartment in Cicero, working a lower-level job. She started posting the usual Instagram crap, quotes like, sometimes storms come to clear your path. You know, the kind of nonsense people post when they're trying to make failure sound poetic. Meanwhile, I was finally doing something real. I teamed up with a buddy of mine and opened a garage downtown. Custom jobs, restorations, the kind of work I actually love doing. Business took off after I shared my story, anonymously, on a local community forum. People responded in a big way. Some even figured out it was me. Didn't matter. They came anyway. One guy even told me, any man who's been through all that and still stands, that's who I want fixing my truck. I had my pride. I had my peace. And I had the final say. Amanda ended up alone in a city she thought would save her, barely holding on to the lifestyle she once mocked others for not having. She lost her title, lost the house, and most of all, lost the image she'd spent years trying to build. Brittany got demoted. Jason dumped her. Now she's the neighbor nobody wants to talk to. Amanda's mom? She got publicly dragged for backing her daughter before knowing the truth. As for me, I'm living debt-free, running a business I'm proud of, surrounded by folks who actually respect me for who I am, not what I wear or where I work. I didn't yell. I didn't fight dirty. I just told the truth. And I let the truth do what it had to do. They lit the match. I just handed it back to them.